Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get started with this narrative answer. Ready? Here we go. He was low on gas. I am not sure what really happened. I know that we were coasting to save on gas and that he was going away too fast. I knew it was just a matter of time before we hit something because he was going too fast, and it was like a time bomb just waiting to explode. He said something about turning the ignition off and coasting down the hill in neutral. I remember that John kept telling him not to do that because we knew he would crash. We were all fearful of the crash because we knew what kind of driver he was. We had ridden with him before, and now there was the problem with the gas. And now for some jury charge practice. And the subject of this jury charge is conspiracy. Ready? Here we go. A joint trial in this case resulted in the conviction of 5 co-defendants on a federal charge of conspiring to deal unlawfully in alcohol. Only the petitioner, Edward Larson, appealed. The principal issue is whether the trial court committed reversible error as against petitioner by admitting in evidence a confession of a co-defendant made after the termination of the alleged conspiracy. The trial court declined to delete references to petitioner from the confession, but stated clearly that the confession was to be considered only in determining the guilt of the confessor and not that of other defendants. For the reasons hereafter stated, we agree that under the circumstances of this case, such a restricted admission of the confession did not constitute reversible error. We will get back to that jury charge. Now let's try this narrative answer. Another narrative answer. Ready? Here we go. I don't remember what was said exactly, but the substance of it was that if we had any problems with the home, we shouldn't worry that Palm Estates would take care of it. I don't know why the tennis courts stick in my craw, but she did say that the tennis courts were going to be put in there within a short time. She said that was to be part of the tract. However, I can't remember anything else regarding the purchase of that particular home. Almost everything was about the general tract facilities. I think at that time the swimming pools and the jacuzzi were already in. The tennis courts were not. I do not remember about the essential walkways and garden areas. I don't know whether she said how many more phases there were. Maybe the tract map showed, but I don't remember whether any more phases were shown. All right, now let's get back to our jury charge. The subject, conspiracy. Ready? Here we go. In the district court for the Southern District of New York, the jury convicted petitioner and 4 co-defendants of conspiring to possess and transport alcohol in unstamped containers and to evade payment of federal taxes on the alcohol. The co-defendants were Philip Harris, Hugo Mason, Joseph Hart, and Edward Peters. The government's witnesses testified that they had observed actions of the defendants which disclosed the procedure through which Harris, Mason, and petitioner supplied unstamped alcohol to their customers, such as Peters and Hart. The government also offered for use against Hart alone his written confession made in the presence of a government agent and of his own counsel after the termination of the conspiracy. The court postponed the introduction of Hart's confession until the close of the government's case. At that time, the court admitted it with an emphatic warning that it was to be considered solely in determining Hart's guilt and not in determining the guilt of any other defendant. The court repeated this admonition in its charge to the jury. All right, let's practice this technical material. Ready? A skyscraper starts far down in the ground. The foundation for a skyscraper begins deep down in the excavation. This is where the steel work starts, upon which the whole structure rests. Base plates are placed on the concrete to carry the load. To achieve an even stronger foundation for very tall buildings, a framework of cross beams and sleepers is constructed. A sleeper is a piece of steel which is placed on the ground to carry the load of the superstructure. This framework of sleepers and cross beams is called a grillage. Whether there are grillages used or just base plates, there are anchor bolts which are embedded deep in the concrete to hold the base plates or grillages in place and help to position the bottom columns. Let's practice some of the challenging words from that technical, and some of those words might be excavation, vertical, framework, superstructure, anchor, grillage. Back to some jury charge practice about conspiracy. Ready? The Court of Appeals affirmed petitioner's conviction. We granted certiorari especially to consider the admissibility of Hart's post-conspiracy confession. Petitioner first attacks the sufficiency of the evidence connecting him with the conspiracy. The government's evidence exclusive of Hart's confession showed that the defendant's conspiracy to deal in unstamped alcohol centered around a garage used for storage purposes in a residential district of the Bronx in New York City, and a gasoline service station also in the Bronx. The service station was used by Harris, Mason, and petitioner as a place to meet customers and transfer alcohol. In December 1954, petitioner, using the alias of Bill Farson, was associated with Harris and Mason in inspecting the garage and in negotiating for its purchase. For $7,000 in cash, title to the garage and an adjacent cottage was taken in the name of Mason's sister. In 1955, the garage was repaired, its windows boarded up, and its doors strengthened and padlocked. Petitioner lived not far away and was observed from time to time at the garage or using a panel truck which was registered under a false name. During the daytime, this truck generally was parked near petitioner's home, but neighbors testified that it was in use late at night to transport various articles to the garage or elsewhere. On one occasion, petitioner with Harris loaded it with bundles of cartons suited to the packing of 5-gallon cans. Late in 1956, petitioner used an additional truck, also registered under a false name. In addition, he frequently drove to the service station in a Cadillac car. On December 18, 1956, he used his car in making delivery of a large package to a nearby bar. All right, let's try another technical paragraph, and let's practice the words. Reputation, maintenance, attention, fastened, battery, terminals, quality, cables, neutralize. All right, ready? Here we go. The new maintenance-free battery does not need to have water added during its normal life. The vents are part of the cover and cannot be removed. Be sure to keep the top of the battery clean and dry. Make certain that the battery cables are tightly fastened to the battery terminals. A small amount of grease applied to the top of each battery cable will help to prevent rust. If there should be any rust, remove the cables from the terminals and clean the terminals with a wire brush. Neutralize any acid with baking soda and water. With minimal care and attention, this battery should give you years of trouble-free usage. Our reputation has been built upon the fact that our batteries are of the finest quality possible. Let's get back to a little more jury charge practice. Ready? Here we go. During December 1956, the service station often was used as a meeting place for Harris, Mason, and petitioner. Harris and petitioner were there on the evening of December 28 at about 7 and 10 p.m. respectively. Peters and Hart arrived. Each turned over his car to Harris. Harris drove Peters' car to the garage and returned with it heavily loaded. Peters then drove it away. Government agents followed him until he stopped in Harlem. There they arrested him and took possession of 19 5-gallon cans of unstamped alcohol found in his car. Later in the evening, Harris took Hart's car to the gas garage and was arrested in it when leaving the still open garage. The agents thereupon seized 113 5-gallon cans of unstamped alcohol that they found in the garage. Hart, who had been waiting for Harris at the service station with $1,000 in a paper bag, was arrested on the agent's return with Harris. And that will conclude our literary and jury charge practice.